Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Sorry for that mumble jumble. I'm not sure what was going on right there. I've never had it do that. Are you, Dan, are you having weird feedback?
No, not at all. Wonder what you're talking about.
Give me 1 second, guys. I got like two speakers going on here. Oh, you know why? I had the show up on a different screen. I didn't realize it. So we're all good now. There was like a 5-second delay where I would speak and then it would stop and I'd hear myself talk again. I was like, what's going on? Anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. It's pretty much a miracle we've never had more technical difficulties than that in the last 35 episodes. So, how's it going, Dan?
Good.
We didn't talk much about deer hunting before we got on here, but how's hunting been?
It's been actually pretty good for this time of year. Every time I go out, I have deer go by me, so can't argue with that.
Yeah, it does seem like the ruts, for lack of a better word, kind of like dragging on a little longer, or something this year.
The activity seems better than normal.
Yeah.
Rut happens at the same time every year. I just think that maybe there's more daylight activity this year with the moon or weather or whatever, but
yeah,
it's been pretty good. I mean, they've been moving a lot midday, and I mean, for like a month straight. It's been pretty good.
Yeah. It's been, well, it seems like it's been since the 1st of November, at least here, it's been cold, cooler and whatnot. So pretty much since you guys left Indiana. But people, gun season started here in Indiana Saturday, and there was a lot of people that knocked a bunch of them down. And we also got a bunch of snow on Saturday here, which is very uncommon in Indiana to have snow on the ground during opening day gun. Not so much, probably not uncommon for you guys, but
we got snow now.
Yeah. How much?
Just a dusting, but it's enough. It's enough. It's going to get people into the swamps and stuff.
Yeah.
No snow, they don't go in as deep.
You guys are going to do some deer drive Saturday?
Yeah. I'm going to do a little sitting, a little driving.
You said like opening morning ever?
Yeah, I'm going to be out for the first hour.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stay out much longer than that because we want to get the pushes done. If we don't push the stuff we want to push, somebody will get into it.
Yeah. I've noticed on your guys' videos or whatever you got, you mentioned that before. Just have to, deer driving is it getting more popular or less popular there?
It went away for a while and we just kept doing it. And now a lot of the local people do it, and some of the younger guys that watch the show tend to end up in the same spots as me. Like they watch what we do and drive the same spots. So I try to be first one through them.
Yeah, you'll have that.
I got some new spots I want to try too. I always do. It's usually if you get something really big on a drive, it's usually some spots you never drove before.
Yeah,
they don't get old. Like going to those escape spots, and living where you drive.
Yeah. The last several years, though, the drives have been a little bit slower than they used to be, right?
Absolutely.
Around you guys.
Yeah.
And maybe this year a change.
The
Seems
actual
like
hunting ain't so bad. If you go out and actually sit, you do pretty good. But the trouble is, I love the driving with the guys. I mean, it's like, it's relatives and stuff and friends and stuff that you really only see at that time of the year.
right.
So it's kind of a fun thing. But since Dave died, I'm trying to push back a little bit and do a little more sitting, but I still want to do some drives. The trouble with that is if you sit in the morning and you sit in the evening, the days are so short this time of the year. You do a couple drives and you got to leave right away.
Right. Yeah. We used to do a lot of deer drives when I was younger, and nobody does them anymore around here, or at least not the group that we used to do it with. A couple of them passed away, and um, yeah, just slowly started to fade out.
I think it's going to pick up a little now because there seems to be getting to be a lot more deer around here.
Yeah.
I would say, like in a couple of years, there's really going to be a lot of big bucks around because there's so many 1.5 year old bucks around right now. I've
It
never seen so many.
was your guys' downturn just from all this CWD stuff that kind of went through a
Yeah,
number
well,
of years ago.
what they did was they forced killing. They
Yeah.
with the earn a buck and stuff like that, and they knocked the population way down. So the hunting here used to be world class before they did that. Right around my area, I mean, it was just incredible. Um, and then they got it down to really, really low numbers, and now it's coming back. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they're trying to figure out ways to take care of that. They're already giving us 4 doe tags with, if you buy a
With your
gun and
buck
a
tag.
full license, yeah.
Yeah. Indiana seems to be doing the opposite. They got rid of our late doe season this year, and
Oh, you could
um,
use a lot more deer.
yeah, yeah. I don't know why. Honestly, I don't know why they ever put that doe season in place. It seemed unnecessary, but um, I don't know because we never had like a just deer running everywhere.
Mhm.
Um, but this year it seemed to be like there was quite a few deer.
There's a big difference when I went down by hunting by you when I go down there versus up here. I mean, there's certain areas like if you get on a farm that's got crops or something, you're gonna run into deer no matter what. But
Right.
when you go into the public land, you gotta check spots. I mean, like I had spots pinned from last year and stuff that I thought were going to be really good, and you get in there and there's no sign, and it's like, holy crap, there's deer in here last year, and you don't find that up here. I mean, if it holds deer one year, it'll hold deer every year. Might not be
Yeah.
what you're looking for, but it'll hold deer. It seems
Yeah.
like there's like pockets of deer where you're at.
Right. Yeah. It's not. I've said this before, but it's like not uncommon for me to go 5 or 6 sits and not see a deer here in Indiana, especially bounced around the hills and whatnot. But
A lot of
um,
guys think they got it bad here until they go and they visit other places.
yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm not saying I have it bad at all. I mean, we got. I only need to see one good deer a year. I don't have to see a
Right,
whole
well,
bunch
that's what
of
you
deer.
do have going. Is I mean, you got
Yeah,
a quality age class. I mean,
yeah,
if you see a buck, I mean, there's a good chance it's a older buck.
right, right. Yeah, you don't. I mean, you very rarely see like 3 or 4 year and a half old deer in a sit. You may see one straggling through here and there, but um, I don't know. There always seems to be some nice ones running around. So it's just not a place that you can sit and see 20 or 30 deer in a night, like some places.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, what else been going on? Have you had as far as your have you seen any shooters lately?
Uh, they're starting to get a little more rare. Um, Cameras are dying down. It's more the young stuff running around now. The bigger ones disappeared off of Dave's farm. Um, so not really. I'm seeing sign of them though. They're around,
Yeah,
but they're not as active as what they were. But I don't know. Eric told me he launched that one today and missed it.
yeah,
Something happened. He hit brush or something and missed it, but he had a good one
yeah,
come through. And he saw a good one, I think yesterday too.
yeah. He
Uh,
seems like he's on one.
yeah, so
He's on them.
he's been on some action. They're still out there running around, and
Yeah. You put up a video this evening or whatever on the channel about rut hunting, essentially. Um, I didn't get through all of it, but I got through a decent amount of it. You want to talk about it for a little bit,
Sure.
just before we get into my buck?
Sure. You know, a lot of people have been asking me for more rut videos. And what has happened with rut videos is either I'm tagged out hunting out of state, or I'm so busy hunting that I never get anything out. Then we got to
Yeah.
just get Josh to go kill some stuff and put some videos up. But this year I really worked hard to get a rut video up. So it's kind of a collage of hunts. And what I did is I wanted to show the timing of how quick a buck is in and out. You know, when you locate a buck, how fast you got to jump on that. And it really is kind of you know, for me, rut is more about hopping around where the does are. I think the funnels can be hit and miss. I mean, you can get a buck that's the one day of the year he just goes off crazy, running around all over the place, and that happens. You even see it on the cameras. You'll see a buck just comes through one day. Just a monster just comes through. He hits all your cameras in one day, and then you never see him again. But for the most part, to get on them consistently, you got to get on them where they go into like doe groups, in my opinion. You know, so I was kind of monitoring does, and when bucks would show up, moving in, and a buck would show up and be in there from anywhere from 1 day to about 5 days, and I would jump in and go after him. And I kind of went through what bucks I was going after and how it worked out, and kind of went through the rut. I think it's a good video, shows the timing and stuff. It's a good learning video.
Yeah. From what I watched of it, it had a lot of good information. I got through about half of it. So, yep. Unfortunately, that time of the year is coming to an end soon.
There was another good video on the site too. Some Josh kid put it up there.
Oh yeah, we could talk about that now.
It seemed to me like you went down to Ohio and you kind of like went to the worst area you could find in the woods while it was pouring, and did the whole you know, let's show me working a little bit. And then the next day you yawned a little and went out and killed one.
Yeah, so something like that. Yeah, before we get into it, I didn't give my spiel. Like, if you guys are new to the channel, you just leave your questions in the comments or the chat there, and me and Dan will get to them later if we have time. And then I also will throw a link to call in if you want to get on here and talk to us or ask some questions during the Q&A. So just be looking for that link. If I forget it, like, start putting it in the chat and something, and I'll remember then if you remind me. Also, like the video and make a comment if you're watching this after it's not live anymore. So that helps. And subscribe. Numbers keep climbing, so I got to do some kind of giveaway or something for when I hit 10,000 subscribers, which is going to be soon.
Be climbing pretty fast now with all that's going on with these bucks dying like crazy.
Yeah.
Do you remember a time about I don't know, a year ago or so, when everybody was making comments under our videos that who's this Josh guy? We want more Dan.
I know, and it's like, I mean, last year I think I had
who's this Dan guy? We want more Josh.
Yeah, and last year I think I had I had like 5 different kills on the channel last year if you count like hogs and deer and a turkey. But it just takes a while to gain a little bit of a trust from people, which is fine.
Yeah. It's understandable today, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and something else. If you guys go on last week's show, I mentioned doing a giveaway for people that commented on that show, and I picked Layman Survival, which I commented underneath his comment to email me. So if you're on here, Layman Survival, shoot me an email. He should get a notification on his YouTube, but I'll do those from time to time, give some stuff away and whatnot. So anyway, Ohio. Yeah, so I went down to Ohio in October, actually, which I didn't do a video on it because it was literally like 2 days and I was just scouting around. Not much happening down there. It was super hot. It was like 84 degrees one day. And I just finally decided while I was down there, I'm like, I'm just going to scout and then come back in November. And that's what I did. So actually that first spot you guys saw me in the video that I was getting just pounded with rain on, is the spots I scouted out in October in Ohio. And it's a good spot. And I'm to be truthful with you, I probably shot the buck I ended up killing only about 80 yards from there. It's not very far from there. It was just essentially, I was sitting in the middle of the clear cut. In that spot, I was on the outside of the clear cut when I shot my buck. So yeah, the rain was horrible, and it was forecasted to be kind of spotty and whatnot, and it was not spotty. It just poured the whole time. Like I thought I was gonna have little pockets of a few hours where it wouldn't rain. I'm like, man, that'll be good, and it wasn't. It just dumped on me the whole time. The ones that I didn't get my camera out, I just used my little GoPro that's waterproof. It was so bad. And then the second morning, I went back in there and sat in that same general area. In Ohio, you can leave stands up overnight, and I just left my stand in there. And again, it was like the forecast was like it's not going to rain till 11. I'm like, oh, that'll be good, and it just poured all morning again on me. And then I got so wet. I mean, I was soaked. Even my bibs and everything were just. Everything was soaked. So I'm like, I can't. It was 35 degrees. I'm like, I got to go get changed and put some warm clothes on before the evening hunt. And I was walking out, and down this old road that's cut back into the public that you walk in and out of their place on. There was some rubs along the edge of it, and they're pretty fresh and big. Like I didn't notice them the day before, so either I may have just not noticed them, but I felt like I would have. And when I was walking out, I noticed these rubs. So I stopped and I looked on a map there, and I could see the point that went out, where these kind of the direction those rubs were coming from. I'm like, oh, I bet them deer are bedding on that point. And I kind of scouted my way backwards and found a pretty good idea of where I thought the bucks would be coming from. And you could tell the does were using like the top of the ridge. There's a whole bunch of tracks and a good trail on the top of the ridge. But down the ridge, there was a military crest, and there was just rubs all down through that military crest where those bucks were essentially coming around that point and then meeting those does or checking those does there, pretty close to that road where the ridge kind of ran to. So that evening, I sat on that military crest, and I had a freaking nice one come in that evening. I probably got set up at like 1 p.m. and he came through at like 3:30, and he was coming right to me. Like he was at 30 yards. I was just going to let him come in. Like he was just kind of mingling his way like they do this time of year, just kind of mingling his way towards me. And he just kind of locked his brakes up and just turned around and walked the other way. Like didn't really spook, didn't really do anything. He decided to turn back around and go back where he came from. I don't know if my thermals were doing something weird, or I don't know. I can never get my milkweed to go up that way, but how they do sometimes. They just decide something's not right, and he turned around. But yeah, he was at 30 yards whenever he stopped, and I was like, gosh. But that buck was probably bigger than the one I ended up shooting, honestly. From what I could tell, it's when it's happening in the moment and whatnot. It may have not been, but anyways, another buck came through later too that evening, like a 100-inch 8-pointer, which was, a decent deer, just a young deer. But so that area, I ended up sitting there for 3 more sits, like a morning hunt and then another evening hunt and then another morning hunt. I was jumping around the whole time though. I never sat in the same tree really. Cause like in the mornings I would try to get a little bit above the trail where my thermals would be rising. And then the evenings I'd kind of move down a little bit and just wherever the wind was kind of shifting back and forth. So, but I saw like 8 different bucks come through there. but never one of them was the only one that was a shooter was that very first one that came through. Which I almost never set in an area 4 times in a row, but I just kept seeing bucks come through, and I think there was some does living in that area that must have been, coming in or something because there were just bucks everywhere.
Different bucks or the same bucks over and over again?
No, there were all different ones. I think total that week or those 3 days I was there, I probably saw, I saw 3 shooters, and then I saw, I think 8 different bucks, 8 different small bucks. Anyway, and I didn't like I had a lot of footage during those 3 other sits, but they were just of dinks, and I didn't feel like nothing real exciting happened. It was essentially just dinks running around like coming through those little funnel I was in. Yeah, exactly. So I just kind of did a little montage of the bucks and went on to the good day. But anyways, that Monday, which would have been the 3rd day I was there, I decided after my morning sit to get down, and I'm like, I'm done with this spot. I'm going to go scout around. And I just went, there's a big clear cut in this, on this piece of private. And I wasn't on the clear cut where I was sitting, but I was on the east side of it, just down the way a little bit. And I was like, I'm going to get to the west side of that clear cut because we had an east wind that day. And I was walking around. It's a really long walk to get around the clear cut. And as I'm walking along, I walk up on like a small buck, another one of those like 1.5-year-old dinks, and he let me walk within 30 yards of him, and then he finally ran off. And the clear cut's up on a ridge, on top of a ridge, and it kind of wraps around down the ridge a little bit. And I went down into the valley, and I was walking up to go up to that clear cut, and I had a pin right where I was going to walk to, and that the hardwoods actually like made a point into the clear cut. And that's where I'm like, oh, that looks like it'd be a good spot to at least go scout out. Kind of like you see a point in a marsh, same thing. And I was walking up to that clear cut on that point, and I look up, and like 50 yards in front of me, there's a really nice buck walking, like with the butt towards me, walking up the ridge. And he was like acting. I like got down real quick, got an arrow on my bow, and he's acting super weird, like real nervous looking. And I kind of thought maybe he had saw me, or something. And then all of a sudden, like all hell breaks loose, and this just a massive buck runs out of that clear cut and runs that buck down towards me. And this has all happened like 30 yards from me, 30 to 50 yards the whole time. And that the smaller of the two, he runs down the ridge. Like I'm like facing this way. I'm watching it all happen up here. And he runs down to my left, about even with me on the ridge. And that big one stays, I can't shoot any of this because there's too much crap in the way. But he just the big one turns around and goes back up into the clear cut. And then as soon as that big one got out of sight, that little one just ran back, or I call it a little one. It was a big buck still, but he ran back up in the clear cut with him. Like he wouldn't leave him alone. So I'm assuming that big buck had a doe up there in that clear cut somewhere, that he didn't want that other buck in there.
Really?
So I just walked up. I kind of snuck up to where they went in to the clear cut and got in a tree. And this is like noon at this particular point in time. And I got in the tree, and then about 3:00, the smaller of the two came out of the clear cut there. And that was the one I shot. Pretty much came right out the same way he went up into there. And that was it. That was it for the hunt. So I wrestled in my mind about, because I saw the big buck. I mean, the big buck was a big buck. I don't know how big he was, but he was significantly bigger than the one I shot. And I wrestled in my mind about, like, should I wait and not shoot anything other than that big one? Because I'm like, I'd been happy with the deer I shot, if you wouldn't have told me that buck was in there.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I just made a decision. I'm like, I'm going to shoot him because, like, I've already like had a shooter come by and didn't close the deal on him. And I'm like, you typically don't get 2 of them to come by in a hunt. It's like, I'm like, if I get a chance at him, I'm going to shoot him. And he did. He came out and shot. But anyway, after I shot him, I thought I hit him pretty good. I was like, all right, cool. And I got down, couldn't find my arrow. And I looked down the trail where he went, and I could see my arrow laying down there. I'm like, oh, there it is. And I went over there, and I literally got like 6 inches of penetration in him. And I'm like, what the heck, And now I'm like kind of dumbfounded, or I don't know what's going on. No blood, nothing. I couldn't really tell on the little screen on the camera, Dan. Like I couldn't really see exactly what was going on with the shot. So I stuck the arrow right there where it was laying, and I went and put my stand together and got everything packed up. And I was like, I'm gonna go get that arrow. No reason for me to leave it in the woods here. And I went and grabbed the arrow, and I looked down in the valley or in the bottom, and there's a buck standing down there. And I just saw him for a split second. I could just tell it was a buck, and then it ran up the other side of the valley. And I'm like, gosh, dang it. I'm like, he's alive and well. Like that deer's alive if that was my buck. But in my mind, I'm like, he looked kind of small. But it happened so quick, I couldn't really tell. So I probably didn't, I don't think I said this in the video, but in my mind, I was like, I'm going to go down there where that buck was standing and see if there's any blood or anything. And there wasn't nothing to be found. Like, I'm like, frick, he's alive. Like I know what happened, but I didn't get enough arrow in him. And I'm like, I'm going to just sneak out of here through this bottom to get back to the truck. Cause I just thought my buck had ran up ran up the other side of the ridge and was on, probably down the other valley. And I walked like 50 yards and I come out of the creek and I looked to my right and my buck's laying there dead. And I'd actually gotten in enough to pop both lungs. Like both lungs were deflated inside of him when I gutted him.
Doesn't take a lot from broadside.
No.
Through one lung into the other.
Right.
To the heart.
But I never really found blood or nothing. I mean, I hit him just high enough, I think, where it didn't. And he ran down that. I mean, he ran downhill 100 yards and died. I mean,
where'd your arrow hit?
I would say like if I had like put a dot on a deer, it'd be like if you were in the center of the deer up and down wise, it was right behind the shoulder and maybe 3 inches above center.
So that
like high lug
right through him, right?
I'd have thought so. I didn't, I don't know what happened, honestly.
Sounds like the arrow did something where it broke and that stopped momentum.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened to me on the spine shot.
Yeah. But I got lucky in it. And I was, the arrow, it was kind of weird. Like the arrow was just like loose in his crap. And so like when he was running, it must have just shredded all kinds of stuff because it was pretty nasty with that broadhead in there, Mm-hmm. And that's what, it had like, I don't know, the broadhead, the arrow, if you can imagine it, was like in him, like almost like this, like almost straight up and down. And it was like kind of in the top of the heart, not in it, but it was cutting all that crap whenever he was running, which he wasn't going to make it with both his lungs deflated. But yeah, when I gutted him, the arrow just came out with the end of the arrow just came out with the good stuff in there. It was weird.
Yeah, you think that would have zipped right through him?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I thought too, and that's why it took me. I mean, I looked for my arrow for like an hour around my shot because I'm like, it has to be here. Like, there's no way it did not go through that deer. And I did order some lighted nocks today, so I'm gonna have to adopt that tool.
Shoot with them because one of my bows they shoot really well on, and the other one it throws my arrows off.
Yeah, I need to make sure the knock fit and all that stuff's good on them and not too tight or anything. But I'll do all that.
What brand did you
get? Whatever one everybody recommended to me. I can't remember what it was called now. I'd have to look. What kind do you like?
I use the room knocks. I use the other ones. They throw my arrows off.
Yeah, they got a whole bunch of them out now. Not a bunch of them, but there's a lot of them.
I should. That's why I didn't name the other ones because I don't even know what brand they are. But I used a couple kinds, and the only one that really worked well for me was Lumnoc, but I didn't try them all, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think even this year there's a few more companies that make them now that are. I just got some that had really good reviews, is what I picked out. It may have been Luminoc, Dan. I can't remember.
I'm so freaking blind. I need lit arrows.
Yeah,
Like fluorescent light bulbs that fly through the air.
yeah. And I've never actually shot uh, lighted nocks ever. But
Really?
yeah, and I don't know why. To me it was like I don't know. I just never have. I'm
Well,
gonna start though.
it's really just for video, anyways. Because when you're shooting a bow, even with my bad eyesight, I can watch the arrow where it hits. Because
Yeah,
you're looking down the arrow in flight,
yeah,
and generally you have light colored fletching anyway, so you see it fly.
yeah.
Especially even a white knock, just the knock itself, you can
The
see it fly because you're looking down the arrow. If you were watching from the side as somebody else shoots, you wouldn't see it.
right.
When you're looking down that arrow as you release, you see that shot fairly well. At least I do, unless it's real low light or something.
Yeah, yeah. I think the thing that'll be most useful is to be like when and this is probably very specific to me and you, but like whenever you review footage in the tree, I can actually see where the dang thing hits because that
Right,
little screen you can't see anything on it.
right.
Not that much detail. Um, but yeah, I did get some today, so I had some Cabela's points I used to get some. uh, yeah. Anyways, yeah, and then I gutted him and pulled him away from the gut pile and put my coats over him and packed him out the next day. So, um,
So, did you get any heat for the coat thing?
oh yeah,
Because
yeah,
years ago I started doing that,
mm-hmm.
and it made a huge difference. Um, Coyotes don't want to go near anything that smells like people. You put especially like what I would do is take my undershirt off and put my undershirt over them because
Mm,
it's full of your sweat.
yeah,
And I actually had a deer in snow one time, and the coyotes circled it. And I had done that and didn't take it. But when you're hunting alone and you're back a mile or so,
yeah.
sometimes further, you can't always get those deer out in the same night. That's just a
No,
lot.
and
It's a lot.
well, it
You
is,
got to
and
get your
I was,
stand back. You got to get your equipment back, and a deer. And
yep,
it's you know having those little tricks up your sleeve that can stop a coyote from eating it. It's not a bad thing.
no,
Even one of those little hand winches, like we had when we pulled your deer up in Wisconsin,
mm-hmm.
so small it could fit in a pack or something. You could use that to get a deer up elevated.
Yep, just
But
hang
I
him
think the
up.
colt works just fine.
Yeah, I've never had one mess with it with a coat, and I literally had him covered. Like I had two coat. I'd taken off. I had a vest and a coat on, and I took the vest off and the coat and covered him up, and I've never had any issues with him messing with them. I mean, I
I've
haven't
never
left.
I've never had a mess with one that I had covered with a coat. I heard of one person that did. He must have just ran into a really hungry coyote or something. But
Right.
I've had them circle it and not touch it. But I've had them eat several deer on me that I didn't find the same night, or eat them before I find them the same night.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had them eat them when I put a coat on it. I do
Yeah.
think what you did about dragging it away from the gut pile is important too, though.
Right. Yeah. And I think give them something to eat, and if they can find that where there's no human sign or no human coat laying on top of it, they're more apt to eat that and get their belly full and then move on, um, than sit there and eat your deer. But I knew I was going to get slack for it. I even had in the video, I filmed this. I even said something like along the lines of, I know some people are going to come out of their mom's basement and tell me this is the wrong thing to do and all this, but I left that out because I thought it was a little inappropriate or whatever you want to say, hard on people.
You're too good of a guy, Josh. An old bitter like me will put that stuff right in there. Don't get your undies in a bunch.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, and I said in the video I didn't I I'll happen to I'll be it'll be late when I get back in here. I'll be working with the headlamp. I'm by myself, no cell phone service. I'll cut my hand with something stupid because I'm, you know, I said it'd just be better if I get here in the morning and have daylight, and I got all the time in the world to get him out. Um, yeah. Someone saying in the comments that don't put a scent lock suit on it because they won't smell that. We're probably gonna get those comments the rest of the
Yeah, I had
duration of.
fan who's a cop sent me a message. He had some videos. He can't share them because of law enforcement, whatever. But he's a canine cop, and he was finding drugs, and the drug smugglers are starting to wrap the drugs up in scent lock.
Really?
Yep, it's not working.
Oh,
Dogs are still finding it.
did you make that up, or did you?
No, really, seriously.
Oh, okay.
Wrapped up in scent lock material and taped up. They think they're going to get away with it. The dogs still find it.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I've heard them putting in coffee and all kinds of crap, but I thought that was hilarious that they're smart enough to try scent lock. It must be actually hunting smugglers.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. But yeah, I was a little bit nervous going into Ohio because people were really complaining about the EHD issues over there this year. Like, I guess a lot of areas got smashed with EHD, and I saw more deer in Ohio than I did Indiana by a long shot when I was in there. So,
I think it's spotty where you go in Ohio.
Yeah,
it is. Where I went.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I just got lucky and bumped into an area where there's some does coming in, but it's it was like cool.
Talks about, is Ohio better or Iowa or Indiana or they're all better. It's a matter of being on the right property at the right time.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a good spot or two.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I don't know if I was better or not. I hope I find out next year. But yeah, it was I was on deer the whole time. I think the biggest thing, it's kind of like you though. It's like a timing thing. Like I was just there on the right weekend essentially. And there was quite a few people hunting. Like I saw a lot of hunters on the roads and around me and everything else. I mean, nobody was hunting right there in that particular area. We weren't hunting together or anything, but there was a lot of people out and about. So, it was good. There's some strange characters around that neck of the woods down there in Ohio.
There's some strange characters in Indiana too. I got down by the Kentucky border, and holy crap, there's drug addicts, beggars, and all kinds of stuff. And you're not even in the city. I mean, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
I had some woman, some big giant woman. Yeah. She was a large girl. She approached my vehicle at a stoplight when I was down near the Kentucky border down there, and she had this big cardboard sign in her hand that said, "My husband is sick. I can use anything you can give me. We need money. We need food. We need this. We need that." Right? And I so much wanted to pick up my phone and take a picture of her because of the background. There's like 3 restaurants behind her, and every one of them had a big help wanted sign. And she's just standing out there with that sign all day,
Yeah, I know.
She must be doing okay because she looked like she ate well.
Wasn't too hungry, huh?
No, she wasn't hungry.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I never got bothered by anybody though, but a few people. I don't know if I'd wanted to go knock on their doors and ask for help. And I got some, friends that have hunted around that area before, and they kind of told me like, some of the roads don't, I wouldn't like spend a lot of time messing around in these certain roads and whatnot. So I don't know.
Where I hunted in Ohio, the people were kind of mean and rude and like made you know that they didn't like the fact that you're coming there to hunt their deer. And when
really?
Anna, I saw the complete opposite, where people were real friendly and be like, "Oh, you're here for the weekend just to hunt deer? let me tell you one of my spots. This is my best spot. I won't hunt there because I know you're in there hunting. It's like, you don't even know me. I had one guy wanted me to stay at his house. He didn't even know my name.
Yeah.
Like, man, if you can't stay in a tent, you have to,
Yeah.
I got a back room. My wife can make you breakfast. You don't have to go to a restaurant or anything. I don't even know this guy.
It's called Hoosier hospitality. That's what
Yeah,
it's a thing. It's a thing, Dan.
I see
It's like
that.
we're all obligated to like put up people and cook them dinner every night.
Ohio serial killers and Hoosier hospitality.
Yeah, I shouldn't say anything. I never got the motel I was in was a little bit shady, but for $50 a night, whatever. I do like staying in a motel instead of like a hotel for hunting because you can back right up to the door and just unload your crap and not have to go through a
hang the deer from the chandelier and skin it out.
Yeah. It was pretty nasty though, but I wouldn't have let my wife or whatever I wouldn't have picked it if she was with me or something. But
so you're like now you're making all this money off all these videos and stuff. You don't even have to stay in a tent no more. What happened to the old camping thing? Too cold?
Yeah, and I
hunted when it was 85. I would have hunted when it was 85. Me and Maddie like warm weather. You're the one that likes the cold.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I bought me a truck a few weeks back, so I had it instead of my Honda. I was sleeping in the back of the Honda whenever I would go places, but yeah, I don't know. When you're by yourself, camping's kind of a lot. It's a lot.
I kind of like motels. I just like to be able to take a shower and just walk in the door and fall on a bed and fall asleep because I'm so tired at the end of the day of just pounding it.
Yeah, for sure. And you don't have to worry about rain or packing your. I mean, it was.
Yeah, you come back soaked or whatever. You got a dry place to be. You don't have to worry about your firewood and everything.
Yeah, and
really, our camping trips are pretty hard.
Yeah, and anymore, like tent sites and stuff, some of them aren't that cheap anymore. And then, and on top of that, like around that area, at least there was nothing with real good amenities. And camping is like real popular anymore. And if you don't book this stuff ahead, a lot of times they're booked up. But anyways, yeah, I stayed in a $50 Royal Inn, so it was fine. The town I was in is kind of rough, but whatever. Fun times. I'd stay there again.
So now you gonna get Maddie a deer? Are you gonna help her or what? You gonna film her? I want to see Maddie shoot a deer on film again.
We have been going before I went to Ohio, but she said she'd probably go a couple more times. She's just not a real big fan of the real cold weather. So we'll see. I don't know. There's still deer moving around here. I got a picture of a pretty nice one the other day on Sunday, I guess. So no, it was maybe Monday. I can't remember, but pretty nice one that she had a shot. I always got
to get a couple blinds. Get you a blind for Maddie where she can you can put a little heater in there and stuff.
Yeah. We have a shooting house, but
and everything, and you can goof around without scaring the deer.
We have a shooting house, but it's not in a good spot anymore because
all houses are shooting houses if you live in the country.
Yeah, true. But the farmer didn't let me plant the food plot the food plot in front of it this year, so it's not.
No, you planted crops there or what?
No, it's in CRP, and the state or whatever was going to come and inspect it, and it was making him nervous. Even though you could have food plots in it, but he wanted to have it clean because he didn't know for sure if he was going to take it in or out or keep it in and all this stuff. So he's like, "You better just not plant it." I mean, that's fine. Not my property. It is what it is. But I still have my clover.
Next year, he just doesn't want to do it no more.
No, he's putting in crops next year. So all that CRP field that you hunted that one sit is.
It was nice. It was kind of diverse because that whole huge property is crops. Otherwise,
it's going to be even more now. But it is what it is. It's still a decent place to go hunting. That is private, So, there's another guy that can hunt it too. But him and his son hunt, but it's still
No, I
pretty
haven't
lucky.
gone there with you. I had that nice buck on the other side of the fence kept walking by, and then I leave, and you just go over there and ask. The guy says, "Yeah, you can hunt over there all you want."
Yeah, he gave me permission. That was the next year. That wasn't like it was the next day. I'm like, I'm gonna go kill that
What it
deer.
felt like to me. I was like, "What? The guy just gave me permission."
That's funny. Anyway, Ohio was good. Yeah, it was good because I gave me a lot. I mean, I always have like inner confidence in myself and all that, but like it really, I really got on deer quick that trip. I mean, that second evening, I could have, I almost killed one. So it was a fun trip whenever things are clicking for you like that. Sometimes you get to a spot and you're just like, I have no idea what's going on, but this time it was, it was good.
You burnt out on hunting now?
No, of course not.
Should have got up here for gun season. Throw you
Yeah,
out
I
in
know.
that swamp. Send you after some real big bucks.
I would like to come up there one year and gun hunt. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, but you're coming off of a lot of hunts in a row. You probably need a break.
Yeah,
later.
I just got back from Ohio Tuesday. I mean,
right.
I can't just turn around and leave again Friday.
Yeah, when it's your job.
Yeah, I know, but I've been working pretty hard this year. So
yeah, you have. You've been doing great.
Yeah, I have been tossing around the idea, which I haven't ran this by Maddie yet. I may be running it by her right now, but I thought about Illinois season doesn't go out to January 15th. I think it'd be cool to go there.
Illinois got some giant bucks down, in some of those areas too.
But like after Christmas and like after New Year's, maybe going and hunting that last couple weeks of season there sometime.
Yeah, you won't run into anybody else down there at that time frame.
I know. It's not that far from my house either.
We could maybe plan some hunt too for late, like the UP or something.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I was gonna tell you, you may look into that a little more because I was talking to some Michiganders today, and they were saying like pretty much from November 15th on is like gun season's in. Like there's gun seasons all
most of the water season.
Yeah, but then there's now like a doe season too, and I don't know, and that's all different. UP has different rules than.
I gotta look into it anyways because I got a family trip I gotta do.
Oh really?
Yeah, but it's just a few days.
What are you guys doing?
I don't know how I got roped into that. Something with my daughter and grandkids for going to some water park or some crap.
Oh, that'd be fun though. You'll like it. You might like that. I don't know. How many? You guys have one grandkid? No, you have more than that, don't you?
Yeah, we've got 3 grandkids. 2 with my daughter and 1 with my youngest boy.
Yeah, I thought you had a few. Anyway, it'll be good. Yeah, I don't think whenever you're on your deathbed, you'll care about a couple hunts that you're going to miss for it. So, anyway, how long has it been since you've been on a family vacation or a getaway?
That ain't really a family vacation, but
yeah, that's true.
We haven't done nothing in a long time. Carol's been sick long and stuff, and now she's got like 4 million cats, and you got to fork the cats and stuff whenever she.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that with you guys with all your animals.
Yeah, so last time we went on a trip, we went out west, and we went to a bear park in Minnesota, and we went to the Black Hills, and we went to we went to a bunch of we went to Sturgis, and we went to Yellowstone. And we did all that in like 3 days.
That didn't sound like much fun.
It was like a lot of driving.
Yeah, we did that this year. I mean, we did like 10 days, but we went out west. So
I'd like some of those trips and stuff, but Carol just can't get out and do anything. So
yeah. Anyway, people are probably tired of us talking about family trips and whatnot. So, anyway, let's want to do some Q&A stuff, Dan. We got quite a few comments, so
Sure.
All right, let's do it. Let me get to this question from Zeke Outdoors, and I'll put the link to get on the show in the comments here. Zeke Outdoors says, are there areas that are heavily deer drived? Should I leave them alone or bow hunt them right away? He must be just a bow hunter.
Well, if you know of a big buck in them, I would hunt them right away as fast as possible. However, generally, I would think that areas that get hit hard, the actual spots that get hit hard, I probably don't have too much for older bucks in them. It's possible though, but probably look for the overlooked spots that they're not hitting or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be hard for me to sit somewhere that there's been 15 guys do a deer drive through, but
you mean after the drives? After the drives are over, I wouldn't go sit them. I'd have no use for them.
That's kind of what I'm assuming.
If that spot was driven, I wouldn't. Yeah, like here after gun season is over towards the end of the week, you generally find me in either overlooked spots right next to the road that nobody drives because they're wet, or you find me very, very, very remote, way away from the road. Because nobody's going to walk their whole entire crew out to do drives in the middle of a giant, swamp that's 3 miles across.
Yeah, you got to find where those bucks go after they've been pushed out of on the deer drive. All right. Newbie Outside says, Dan, how do you think the snowfall affects the deer movement here in southwest Wisconsin? My cameras on a hot scrape went dead because of snow.
I'm still seeing deer on the cameras, and I'm still seeing deer. I was out tonight. I had three bucks cruise past me, so I don't think it's affecting them a lot. Matter of fact, when it's snowing, I see a lot of movement. It's like they don't like laying in it, especially the first snows. It's like it kind of freaks them out when that stuff's landing on them, burying them. They get up and move real well during the snow, no matter what time of day it is. But where snow hurts you the most at this time of the year is gun hunters get into everything when there's snow. You know, like, the marsh behind my house, the guys are pretty good about staying up on hills and filling up all the wood lots and look like a pumpkin patch, and they stay out of the swamps. I'll go out on islands and stuff, and I'll be able to see a square mile, and I can't see another hunter. But when there's snow, they'll see the tracks go down those trails and stuff, and they'll just follow them. Even if they're old tracks, they'll be like, oh, a deer go in there. And you'll start seeing people showing up all over inside of those swamps and marshes and stuff. And they won't be so scared about getting lost because they can follow their tracks back out and things like that. And you just see a lot more people out into the spots where you normally don't see people in the snow. So they kill a lot more deer in the snow too. They see better, and it has an impact on the deer.
Yep. And your camera being on a hot scrape went dead. It may be because that, they're not working those scrapes right now. If they're on a doe or something, or if there's a doe in heat around that scrape or something, they don't have any use for it anymore. They're probably up that doe's butt, Yeah.
I'm still seeing fresh scrapes, but they're here and there.
Yeah.
And they are not like what they were 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, in late October. Yeah. That may be why you're not seeing much activity on that camera over the hot scrape. Let's see here. I think I know your answer for this, Dan, but Chris says on a small private piece, 60 acres, you keep seeing deer come from one place. Would you push into it or sit back and just put more time in the stand?
Is there any time I'm not aggressive?
Yeah.
If you can, if you sit back, you just be sitting back and educating them, watching them, and never killing them and wasting your season.
Yep.
You go in there, you make your move, do or die, and you either kill them or you don't. And it doesn't mean you make a sloppy move. You got the wind right, you get the timing right, you move in for the kill. And if you don't kill them, which you probably won't, I mean, most of our hunts are unsuccessful. You move on to the next one. You just let it cool down a little bit. Maybe they come back, in there and start working it again, and maybe they don't. But you just got to make your best moves. You got to go in for the money shot right away. What do you think, Josh?
Oh, I completely agree. I think there's a lot of people that don't hunt public land. A lot of people have their private farms that they hunt and this and that. I still think having a bee stand and sticks or a mobile setup is like a key tool, even if you're on, a big piece of private or 20 acres of private.
Absolutely.
Like, my cousin, he owns like, I don't know, I think it's like 40 acres. And he was texting me yesterday about, he's like, so how much can I get one of those bee stands for? He's thinking about it now. Cause he's this year seen a lot of bucks that he could have, moved on. They didn't have permanent stands up or whatever the case may be. So
they have a knack, when you get a mature buck on your property, they have a knack for figuring out where you go.
Yep.
And they will show up wherever you don't. And when that happens, you have to bust a move. You have to make your way over there and make a hunt out of it. And you have to do it without that buck knowing you're moving in there, knowing you're setting up that stand. You can't go in there with a chainsaw, and you have to go in there, slide in there with something mobile, get set up quiet, and kill him when he pops out. And that's how I kill most of the really big stuff I kill on private. It's with a mobile setup. But most of my hunts are out of permanent stands. You got stand, or maybe not permanent stands, but permanent positions, spots I always go. But the biggest bucks always tend to be, not always, but most of the time tend to be the mobile moves.
Yeah. Yep.
Even yourself. I mean, look at Ohio. Now you got in there, you did a couple hunts in an area, it's not working, you move. How many guys will just sit on the same hill all week and have the mentality of eventually one will show up, and they'll get their share of deer, but you're killing 4 of them in a year. They're killing 1 every couple of years.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That mobile mindset of just moving and constantly going in for the kill and not sitting back is what kills them. I'll do, and people will confuse it, I'll do those, observation sits and stuff, but that doesn't mean I'm, kind of close. I'm either way back where those deer will have no idea I'm watching them, or I'm right in for the kill, one or the other.
Yeah, exactly. And, Chris, I don't know what your property is. And it's like, there's really a couple ways to kill deer. And that's like kind of how me and Dan do it. We're real mobile, or it's like, I don't know, maybe you have a really nice piece of property that, you and your neighbors are in agreements, and you may be able to sit back a little longer than what, I can, on certain properties. But that's what I would do. I would move, especially if he's consistently coming out in an area, that you got him patterned kind of thing.
The private properties are good for putting a camera in there and just sitting back and waiting for exact timing.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you don't have to worry about anybody else getting in there and messing it up,
Right. All right. Here's a good one. Tips for staying warm. I lost a lot of weight a few years ago when I'm freezing in comparison to the yesteryears.
I think getting used to the cold is a good thing. If you spend too much time in a truck with your heater on in your house and all that stuff, the cold hits you harder. I try not to overdress. I try to go out and do things underdressed and shiver a little bit, so I get used to it. And then I've got some good clothing for cold weather. It sure makes a difference. Mitch from Venato gave me a heated suit. He don't sell it anymore, but that suit, well, it's not heated, but I mean, just a warm suit.
Mm-hmm.
And it really ain't that heavy or big or bulky or anything. It's just the way it's built. It's a very expensive one, but man, that thing's worth its weight in gold. I put that on. I'm warm. If I can put on all the jackets and hoodies and crap I want and not freeze.
Yeah.
But that thing, just keeps me warm.
Yeah, I think like I mean,
Good
you kind of
boots.
hit. Yeah, good boots. You hit the nail on the head though. Like when you said expensive, like that's something. If you want to stay warm, you're going to have to spend a little bit of money on a good set of bibs, whether that be like something from any of those Sitka or I don't. Well, the one you got it's not made anymore, but there's some pretty good stuff, but it's also expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But I bought and this is more for cold stuff. Like whenever it was -20, I bought one of those IWAM, which I know you're not a fan of those, Dan. I freaking
Yep.
love that thing. Um, but I also got it in a Predator camo pattern. Isn't it's real open? Like the pattern's real open because the
Yeah.
suits are real bulky. Um, but I mean, I had those 8 does all around me during late season um, in Wisconsin up there in it, and they didn't seem to notice me until they smelled me underneath my tree.
Yeah.
But
And really, that weather up there should hit you harder than me because you're not used to it. It's a lot warmer
yeah,
where you're from.
yeah. But that thing, I'd put it on and I would take a hand warmer and throw it in the bottom, and it'd keep everything warm. Something else that's nice is I don't know if you ever used a heated vest, Dan?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty nice for staying warm.
Yeah, if it's a good
Uh,
one. I mean, some cheap ones
yeah,
fail sometimes, or you can't even tell they're on.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I've got Milwaukee Tool gave me a couple,
mm-hmm, yeah,
and those work pretty well. And I got uh, I got some from Tidewee when I worked with them, and those were nice.
yep, yeah. I can't remember what brand mine is, but it's a pretty good one.
The
I've heard
only
good
thing
thing.
with me is I'm really bad about getting things charged up and stuff and having them ready and stuff, and then you get
Yeah,
out, oh damn, it ain't charged again.
yeah. Uh, what else was I going to do? My big thing is keeping my hands warm. I hate when my hands get cold, so I always wear a muff, one of those muffs or whatever, and I put a hand warmer in that thing and keep my hands warm because I don't like wearing gloves.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes
my
you have,
too.
yeah, sometimes you have to, but
Oh, I can wear a glove on my bow hand, but my release hand I can't have a glove on.
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
take it off.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Dan and Josh, this is about deer drive, so this is going to be a Dan answer. How does wind affect your setups and positions for drives and
Um,
standers?
that's a good question.
Yeah.
So um, I never want to get upwind of deer until there are people set up downwind. So on occasion we'll put the drivers in first and then the standers, or vice versa based on the wind. Um, so I don't want anybody upwind of the deer until the people downwind are ready, whether they're the standers or the drivers, if you can understand that. So then when we jump deer, little bucks scatter, little deer scatter. Big bucks, like mature animals, tend to, um, the majority of the time, run either straight downwind or straight upwind. So I tend to try to place people I want to be successful in those positions for upwind or downwind. There's one drive we do where the west wind blows into it. You know, it's usually some sort of westerly wind, but all the sign goes out to the you know to two different directions. And I'll always sit in that spot that's got no sign, and that's where I always have success. I always go, oh, I'll just sit here where nothing comes out.
Yeah.
And I always shoot them when they scatter because it seems to me that they want to either smell who's following them or smell who's in front of them. They
Mm-hmm.
use the wind when they're in turmoil, when they're trying to escape. They either like will sneak with the wind to their back while they're peeking ahead of them, or they'll run into the wind where they can smell if you're ahead of them. But they tend to use the wind a lot, especially the older bucks.
How often does your guys' uh, walkers get shots at deer?
Um, Not as often, but it happens. And the reason it doesn't happen as often as to other people is because we're in such dense cover that they
Yeah,
really can't shoot.
right.
Um, in a lot of cases, like when we're in cattails, it's hard to shoot when you don't know where the next guy is.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the reasons I like that new Hunt Stand app.
Mm-hmm.
On their app, now me getting everybody in our group to get the damn app is going to be difficult, but um, unless I pay for it. But that app will show you where everybody in your group is at all times. So you know
Yeah.
how you get that blue dot on an Onyx that shows you where
Mm-hmm.
you're at.
Mm-hmm.
You can have everybody in your group on the hunt stand. You can see where they're at. So you can
I mean,
keep track of people. That doesn't mean that you can start taking iffy shots, but it does help with keeping people in a line and knowing where people are at.
yeah, that is a pretty good tool, especially for deer drives.
Mhm.
Um, all right. What would you get? What would be your guys' approach on hunting small blocks of timber? Most of the places I hunt and places around it are small chunks under 10 acres.
For bow hunting, I'm assuming,
Yeah, I'm
or
going to
just
assume
hunting in
bow
general.
hunting.
I mean,
Yeah, he's probably talking about bow hunting.
you got to be careful with small blocks, how you enter them and stuff like that. I mean, small square blocks, you're bedding them a little different. I mean, if they got internal edges, great. But if they're just blocks of standing timber that's pretty contagious of the same stuff, they will tend to bed to the downwind side. They'll watch the opening with the wind to their back and they'll smell the woods. And when they do that, most people will tend to want to hunt from the downwind side so that their wind don't blow in the woods, and they don't realize they're walking in on the days that the bucks are watching them. So they bet on edge, you know. So you do have to be careful about how you go about that. I would tend to hunt those smaller blocks more often when the wind is to the deer's advantage, not mine, because that'll put them on the other side of the block, and I'll use an angle of the wind or a crosswind or something to hunt them when they come back through to where they're headed to the food or whatever. Like a lot of guys will put cameras on the edge of those woods and they'll watch that deer come out all the time. And what they're not realizing is that deer, when they're waiting for that wind, and they go in there when the wind is right for them, that deer's right there watching them.
Yeah. Something else to like think about on small properties is if you're talking under 10 acres, like you got to make sure you're on the right property too, because you can have a 10-acre piece that's not going to hold deer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how, you know, I don't know your story there, Jesse, but if you have access to many of them, you want to make sure you're
On the right one.
um, on the right one. Yeah.
I tend to like to sit back and watch them once too and just see what comes out. Because when you go in there, you kind of taint them for a while. But if you just watch them, you see what happens. You see how the deer come out. Like if you think they're bedding on the downwind side and you're having a hard time accessing that, just watching them once, they'll let their flaws come out. They're like, oh, look where he's going. Look what he's doing. Oh, I could do this or I could do that, or I could get into this gap here and I could get under this hill. He wouldn't be able to see me. And maybe I can only get a few feet off the ground, but I could get right there. So you sit back and you watch them, and particular deer will have a tendency to come out and do the same things the next day they come out.
Yeah.
So just like when you walk through a woodlot, when you enter a woods and you walk through, you tend to take the same trail you did the last time when you go through that section.
Yeah.
Not every deer will do that. And not every person that goes through that woods will walk through the same spot either. You do because that's the way you learn to go through that woods. And deer will have the same kind of tendency to go through a piece of cover the same way the next time they go through it. So if you sit back and watch them and observe them a time or two, that can be pretty helpful.
Yeah. All right. It's a good question because some of the bucks are pretty ready still. How close do you think a buck is if you can hear him grunt but can't see him, assuming little to no wind?
I'd say pretty damn close.
Yeah. Yeah. I've rarely heard a deer like do one of those like real loud grunts. They're usually kind of under their breath grunting kind of thing, you know. So um, I don't know. I think if you could hear them grunting, you probably ought to get ready.
Yeah, I heard a grunt tonight, and
Oh, did you?
yeah, I could. It was barely audible, and about 10 seconds later, I could see the deer, and he was 25 yards from me. And I
Yep.
think he was probably close to 25 yards when I heard him, but I barely heard it. And even at that, being able to hear it, I was questioning myself: was it a grunt? You know, they're
Yeah.
pretty soft. You know,
Yep. Uh, there was a buck that grunted coming in when I was sitting in Ohio, just a small one, and it it was very soft at like he was probably about 30 yards from me, and I could just barely hear him grunting. So,
it
but then
depends.
again, go ahead.
It depends on the time of the day and what's going on too. Just like turkey hunting. I mean, uh, think about how loud a turkey is, and we'd be sitting in the blind. You can hear the turkeys gobble on the other side of a big field, and then during the day, like a hour or two after sunrise, the turkeys are coming in, and they're halfway to you, a lot closer than they were, and you can see them, and you see them go, but you can't hear a thing,
Yep.
and you're thinking, holy cow, you know. So it's a lot of it has to do with what's going on. I mean, if it's dead quiet, drop a pin and hear it, you might be able to hear them for 40 or 50 yards, maybe. But I don't think you're hearing them much more than that with a regular grunt.
Yeah. Have you ever heard a deer do like they call it like a roar or anything like that, Dan, where they really get loud?
Not that I can recall.
Yeah, I haven't either. I've seen video of it and stuff, but I've heard them snort wheeze before.
Yeah.
They're close. They're close if you can hear them do that. But um, here's kind of a unique question: have you ever set up on a spot because you could smell a rutting buck and there was no scrapes around? You could find, you could smell him.
What do you think?
I can't say I've ever actually done that. I've definitely walked through areas and like, oh man, it smells like deer right here,
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they could
I was going to
also,
say the exact same thing. I've never set up on it because of that, but I have, especially like in cattails where it gets contained. I've gone down a trail and a rutting buck went down it because you can smell it. But I've smelt them from upwind, or I mean downwind, where that there's a buck around that's in rut, and then see it later. But that ain't too often. But every now and then.
yeah, yeah. If you guys ever been elk hunting, you can smell elk from forever. Like they smell bad. Um, but anyway, that's
If you've ever hunted with Ricky.
you also don't know.
Just kidding. I probably smell worse than him.
Yeah, probably.
It's actually pretty clean.
You also don't know. Like there could have been some jackwagon walking through there earlier, spraying some aerosol Tink 69 in the air or something. You're like, I don't know.
When I used to, many years ago, probably like 30 plus years ago, whatever, I used to work with Buckmasters a little. I used to go sit in their booths and work for them.
Yeah.
I used to give away Tinks with a membership if you got a membership.
Yeah.
And I had cases of that stuff sitting around, and it was going to expire. And I gave it to this guy I hunted with who was a little bit of a novice.
Yeah.
And he took his hunting suit, unbeknownst to me, and he took like a whole case of these bottles that we had, like 25 bottles, and poured it all over his suit to make his suit smell like a doe and rut, because he thought the bucks would come running. And he reeked so bad, he could never get that smell out of all of his stuff. It was because he had it in his car and his
Yeah.
He got a nickname Doe Pee after that.
Have you ever used scents or anything like that, Dan? Like even when you were younger?
I tried it when I was younger, and I actually even had some success with it. I can remember a a real nice 10 coming into a doe drag. I remember following it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And thinking it was probably because I put the scent on over there and I drag it this way and it's probably getting weaker.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was actually why, but followed it the wrong way.
Makes
and
sense.
I called a buck into rattling once, a pretty big buck, and I had a bottle of doe pee out, and it ran right to the bottle from downwind. Ran right to it, put its nose to it, and then blew and took off running like a rocket. I never got a shot. But that's about the extent of it. Most of the time, it didn't work, or the deer were real leery of it or spooky.
Yeah.
I don't really think you can put deer scent in a bottle and fool them too much. I mean, you can fool any deer if a buck is worked up enough.
Right.
I mean, you
can almost walk up to them sometimes, right? You know.
Yep. Exactly. If they're in the right mood, you can fool them. But for me, personally, I found that my thrill is from outsmarting them, from figuring out where they're going to bed, where they're going to feed, or where they're going to go to breed, or whatever they're going to do, and trying to put myself in the one tree you can be in to kill them. And when you do that with a buck that you're targeting, that's the pinnacle of success in what we do. That's not everybody hunting. That's not everybody's thing. You know, some people love the buck that just comes running in with steam running out of his nose to decoy or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's not me. To me, that would take away from the hunt. It's not my type of hunt.
Right.
Some people like the camaraderie and just want to rotate through stands. And if a deer comes in, they shoot it. Some people are meat hunters. For me, it's about picking an animal and hunting him down and having success doing that. And success doesn't have to be a kill, but to have encounters doing that. I think that's my style of hunting. And the trickery, the sense, the trying to make yourself invisible or have no odor, that just seems weird. It just doesn't seem like that's hunting. That's not beating a deer, that's tricking him. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that's not my style. It's just not the way I enjoy hunting.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think I've ever put out scent before, other than like some mock scrapes and stuff. But I've never like put out something for the rut or anything like that. Definitely haven't had it work if I did do it when I was younger.
Did you ever rattle one on?
Yeah, nothing. I 2 years ago I rattled in like a pretty decent buck, but couldn't get a shot at him. And I've had better luck with like real antlers, I guess. Also, like it's a very small pool of information on my rattling career, but that's the time I did rattle deer. It's with a set of real antlers, and I wasn't like banging them together real hard. It was more like kind of a softer thing, nothing crazy. Here we go. This is a question I get a lot recently because we started to use the Lathrop and Son boots. Mm-hmm. What boots do you guys wear for long walks? The rubber boots are nice, but really aren't comfortable. Yeah. Me and Dan both got a pair of Lathrop and Sons. They're like a company out in Illinois. And we're going to have them on at some point in time to talk about them because I've gotten a bunch of messages about what the brand is and what they're about. But essentially they're a father and two sons that are foot doctors in Illinois, and they created these hunting boots. And they're what you would think of as like a Western hunting boot, but they're super nice. I like them a lot. But yeah, there's a lot of options, but those are a good option if you're looking to buy some hiking boots.
It'd be nice, Josh, if everybody always wants to know about our equipment, but I always feel weird putting that in my hunting videos.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to just do a video at the end of the season. I do one and you do one because we use a little bit different stuff.
Yeah.
Just
Everything we use.
break down what we do when we go, what we have and what we use and stuff. With a higher quality of video of doing that. I think that would be good.
Yeah. People, I mean, I probably almost get as many equipment questions as I do like strategy or
And that's the only reason I bring it up is because a lot of
yeah.
people ask about equipment, and it really is part of the strategy is what you're using and stuff. But I don't like every time I'm doing a video, I'd like to
Yeah.
stop and go, this is what I'm
Yeah.
using, blah blah blah.
And yeah, and we also don't like to be like we don't want to give the feeling of, you know, this buck was killed with my Rage 2 blade
Right,
expandable and my Hoyt,
right,
yeah. So
exactly.
uh
But it would be nice to just break down the equipment and for
yeah.
those that want to see it,
Yeah. And I
you know,
think
put it in the
yeah,
title so that you don't have to watch it if you don't want to.
right. And
You
I
know,
think
we get a lot of equipment questions on what we wear, what we do, and
yeah. Um and I think everything we use is something that like at least for me it's like I've used it for quite a while now, and it's not because of someone gave us a whole bunch of crap. Like we all use stuff because we like it. Not to say we get free stuff from time to time, but it's always from people that we've worked with or used in the past for the most part. Um, let's see here, Dan. I'm at the end of our questions. I thought I
really.
had more. Yep. Which we've been on here for an hour and 21 minutes, so it's a pretty
Hmm.
normal actually length. But anyway, no call-ins today.
Nobody tried to call it.
I have gotten a lot of complaints about us going at 9 instead of 8, so we may have to change it
Mm.
um, at some point in
Come
time.
on, folks, it's hunting season, man. You got to drag my ass out of the woods. I was back over a mile tonight.
uh, yeah,
We can get on a
Dan.
little earlier now that we got daylight savings,
Yeah, I
savings
say it
stealing or whatever it is.
wouldn't
It
be a
ain't
big
savings.
deal.
For sure, they stole it from us.
I know, right?
Stole an hour.
Right. There are some questions I don't. You can answer them or not, but some people are asking about what camera arm we use. Uh,
So I've designed a camera arm that all of us are using, everybody in the group, and we all love the hell out of it.
mhm.
At least they tell me that. Maybe they're kissing my ass. I don't know. But I'm just tweaking it a little bit and redrawing, um, just trying to not. I don't want to use the word fix because it works great. I think it's better than anything that's out there. But I want to tweak it, and make it a little better on a couple things that I found some slight issues with, and I'm trying to get that design done. But the trouble is, all I do is hunt. I don't work, so I'm not having too much success with it. As a matter of fact, today I got into to work really early, and I got a lot done on them. So
Oh, cool.
I
Yeah,
just had this prototype done, this last prototype. Try that, see how that works. But I'm like 99.9% sure that that's the one we're going to sell. So
cool.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and you'll probably. I know it's hard to hide your camera arm in a, all the time
I just
in the
gave up.
thing. Yeah, me too. I noticed you gave
Yeah,
up, so I gave up.
I hate
But if you guys see mine, like I have a pretty big one that's probably bigger than what I have one that's really big. That's probably bigger than the one that you guys will come out with. But then I also used a small one too. That's probably smaller than what we could. So I've had a couple different prototypes I've been using. Uh, I like the big ones.
Mhm. Me too.
I quit using the small one, but
Me too. I mean, everybody wants the small ones, and then when they get them, they want the big one. So
you guys still got to remember me and Dan are doing this like for lack of a better word, like professionally, like we're trying to make good stuff. So a bigger one is more stable and we hang our bows on it and all that kind of stuff. So,
which, while we're talking about professional, I should address all the comments I'm getting about using a $12 camera.
oh,
Oh, my camera is the same camera Josh is using. It's just that mine has been
it's broken.
rounded like 10 times. It's been dropped out of trees and kicked and lost, and I had to go through the woods and find it a few times because I get home and I don't have it. I'm just a little less nice to my camera gear than Josh is. So
Yeah,
I
I
will
keep mine in a pack, and
at the end of the year, and then by the end of the next year, people will be saying that new one is a problem. It is not a $12 camera. It is one that has been abused greatly. So it's got character, not a $12 camera.
You need to get you one of those GoPros like I have.
I
Those
do.
big,
Yeah,
those
I
nice
think
wide shots.
I'm going to buy a new professional camera, and I'm going to buy a GoPro setup like yours. And
Yeah, you'll really like it.
I just don't buy that stuff during hunting season. I just don't have time for that crap.
Yeah, they're bomb proof too. Like you can, I mean, that's what I used to
I
film.
really like GoPros because I hate taking my camera out in the rain, and that's what's really ruined it.
Mm-hmm.
It's I tried making containers for them, and I put hats over them and stuff, and they just get soaked. And matter of fact, my camera right now is disassembled and sitting on the counter in my kitchen because it was having all kinds of weird colors come on after I got it soaked tonight in half rain, half snow. So that's a typical hunt for me. GoPros are pretty much waterproof, so I got to go a little more with that. And I don't really zoom in much anyway, so.
No, and they have a nice wide angle, so like whenever you're, we're not going to see Dan his like face like this close to the camera when he talks. It has a nice wide angle.
People like that.
Do they?
Yeah. See,
I think you got like 4 people that might like that. Anyway, that's good though.
5. There's one guy that said maybe. He's iffy. So 5.
Yeah. Whenever you want to get all that stuff, let me know because I can help you. There's a question on here I'm not going to answer. Brett, he asked, what shifts are you making for late season? That may be something we should do, Dan. Like have a dedicated when we don't have a deer kill to talk about. Maybe have a dedicated podcast before late season gets here about like shifts to make during late season. So we'll try to do that like before late season starts because I know sometimes we are like a day late and $1 short.
As we started, I mean, sometimes once you get into it, you have a little better intel on it. But we can do both too. We'll be talking as we go into late season too, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll touch base after gun season's over.
Yeah.
So anyway, you ready to get off here? We've been on here for an hour and a half now. So
I am more than ready. I've been dying to get a night of sleep.
Yeah, I hear you. You don't have to get up tomorrow for work, right?
Correct. I have tomorrow off and the next week off. And
oh, you took all week next week off, huh?
Yeah.
So if you shot a buck with your gun, could you grab your bow and start bow hunting then? And shoot a buck?
Yeah, I could.
Okay.
Or I could keep gun hunting because you can party hunt. So as long as I have people around me that have tags, I can continue to hunt.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that. Never mind. I'm not used to that. We can't do
that.
So
generally when we're party hunting in Wisconsin, as long as I'm hunting with a group, if I shoot a buck, generally there's people in the group that want meat and want to tag a deer. I try to save my tag for muzzleloader season so that I have a tag throughout that. So an extra tag for that whole, I mean, you guys only get one tag. So I'm sure you can understand that if I can have a way of keeping a tag, I'm going to keep it as long as possible.
Oh yeah. Can is your muzzleloader tag the same as your rifle tag? Is that the all one tag?
Mm-hmm. So then I can another 10 or another 9 days or whatever it is, I can either bow hunt or hunt with a muzzleloader. So.
Gotcha. All right. Let's get off here. Go to bed. Everybody, thanks for hopping on tonight, and we'll see you next week. See you, everybody.
See ya.